Hey guys, Murtaza here with Heartbeat, just running you through what it looks like to get started on Heartbeat and actually set up your first community. So I wanted to go through the steps that we normally recommend with other community builders just to show how a good community looks and how to actually prep the space for the first members that you guys are going to start onboarding here. So there's really like 6 steps that I would say you want to knock out when you get onto Heartbeat, which sounds like a lot, but actually a lot of these things are pretty quickly done for you. So the first is create your first 5 channels. So by default, these are actually the 5 channels that we start you off with when you start a Heartbeat community. And I would say probably like 80% of our communities start off with these, and I'm pretty happy with this setup. So we start with announcements, which is where all of your main announcements happen. We recommend you set that as like a read-only channel, so that way only like admins will be able to post there. Everybody else can comment on those posts, but admins will be the ones that can make the top level posts. The second channel is just a general channel, again, just a catch-all for any kind of posts, any kind of interesting information people want to share. A no stupid questions channel where people can ask any questions that's on their mind and then just get feedback from the rest of the community on them. And then lastly, an intros channel where all the automatic intros as people are onboarding Heartbeat come in and get populated. And then I would have a water cooler as well in case people need to jump into a voice call. We see a lot of times where somebody will have a conversation in general, or they'll have a conversation like no stupid questions that like escalates into something that might just be easier to talk through over voice. And so people can one click just jump into the voice room over here and start having those conversations. Awesome. So with that knocked out, we've got our first 5 channels done. The next is the first 2 documents that you would create. Now, we have a whole video on this that goes into what documents, how to create them, and why these are the first 2 you should start off with. But for brevity, I'll just say we want to have a code of conduct, which just says what good and bad behavior looks like for a community, and being able to very clearly show like examples of what good and bad behavior look like for the community. So setting those ground rules, even if you're a small community of 20, 30 people, it's really powerful to have something formal like this just set up so that people understand that this was a thoughtful and intentionally made community, and that there are core ways that you expect people to interact. The second is a how to use Heartbeat page. And my favorite is to just do this through a Loom video. So the exact same way that I'm doing it right now, using Loom, screen recording with your face on the bottom left, and showing people how to navigate through Heartbeat, and what you expect them to use different channels for, what you expect them to use different docs for. Some other common things is just, teaching people how to do account settings, teaching people how to set up browser notifications, mentioning the mobile and the desktop apps, DMs, creating threads, creating posts, and editing posts. So all of this is pretty standard of just like how you would come in and use Heartbeat. There's nothing super custom to this. We have a couple templates that we can share with you as well, but these are the first 2 documents that I would create. And then after that, everything else is, your own. So you can set that up as you need to or how you'd like, but these 2 documents we generally recommend for each community. Now, the third thing here is creating your first event. So we have another video that I'll post to the side of this that shows how to actually go through the setups of integrating with Google Calendar and with Zoom. Both of those are 2-click integrations, so you should be able to click and within 20 seconds be integrated with both of them. It shouldn't take you much time. Here you'll create your first event. If you are doing something around knowledge sharing, it might be helpful to do a speaker event, in which case you could call this like, we'll do speaker event, give it a name, give it a quick description over here, and then just figure out when we actually want to host the event, what day, what time, and getting all of that set up. So I'll set this up for a full 1-hour event. We can make this happen in Zoom, or we can make this happen in a Heartbeat voice channel. So let's make it happen in Water Cooler, and then I can invite the rest of my community as users. And given that I'm doing an external speaker event, what I can do is I can actually add in the email of my external speaker over here. So that way they get a separate invite that when they click on it, it takes them to a blank page of Heartbeat just with voice call information. So they're not overwhelmed by the fact that they have like multiple apps and things like that here on the left sidebar in Heartbeat. So I would hit create if I wanted to create that event. In this community, we already have a couple events that we've got running. As you can see, they're all synced with Google Calendar. Some of them have Zoom URLs. Some of them use Heartbeat URLs instead. So all of that's available. And it just makes it really easy to have one core place where now that people are getting onboarded to the community, you're actually bringing them together and giving them a real genuine experience of how they can start getting to know each other. So having one strong set event at the start of your community, usually within the first 7 to 10 days is what I recommend. So you start onboarding people on a Monday, maybe you do your event on like a Thursday afternoon. So that schedule generally tends to work pretty well. The directory is automatically taken care of as new people come in, so you don't really need to touch that. Last thing that I would do is set up and configure matchmaking. If you don't have any strict rules on how you want to do this, I would just go ahead in the manage opt-ins. I would add in any admin users that are here today. I would also in the matchmaking settings, so I can add in myself, I can add in Mehul. In the matchmaking settings, just create a group of 2, create my first pool, and let's just add everybody into that first pool. So everybody's going to get matched to everyone else. And we don't need to think too difficultly about like how the community is subsectioned off, just because we want people to start talking right now. In the review messaging space, we have a template that you can use. So I would just start off with that. It's going to automatically populate in, names. It's going to populate in bios. And then when I hit confirm and send, it's automatically going to go ahead and generate the matchups for me. And then I can hit preview email on anybody's profile to preview what that email is going to look like. You can send this on a recurring schedule, so you could set it like weekly, every Monday at, say 10 a.m. And this is pretty standard for the way like most communities think about this. And what it'll do is it'll send out an email from myself that makes it look like, we're introducing everybody else on a personalized intro email. So easy things like that you can take care of, hit confirm, and then this will be recurring. Again, really small, easy ways in less than 5 minutes to generate a ton of lift in your community as you're just automatically matching people to each other. The last thing that I would do, so we went through the first 4, and that only took us about 5 minutes. The last couple things that we're going to do is actually set up your community theme. So I've actually already customized the community theme here. So we've got our community name. We can set up a custom domain if we want to, and you'll need to just follow some basic instructions over here. We've got weekly digests, so you can actually preview what those weekly digests look like, when they'll actually be sent out from the Heartbeat community, and you can see like what kind of information is provided on those. So we talk about events, the top threads, unread items, new documents, all of that. And you can even set up a couple other like custom things over here too. So I would make sure to set up the community theme. If you haven't, so we're just using the standard Heartbeat logo here, but if you want, you would upload an icon over here. I recommend it's like 128 by 128 because that's the size of the photo that we display over here. You can also change and edit the colors over here. And as you're doing that, like say I want this to be, like a purple color, I can do that. You can automatically like live preview these colors. So I'll try this, and then I can move to here, and then live preview, and automatically the background of my community changes for me. So you can do this, play around with it, and set up the color scheme that you want. And then the very last piece over here is customizing your onboarding. So this is an incredibly powerful piece of Heartbeat where you can actually customize the questions people are asked as they come on. So remember, you get asked a couple questions. I could make it 4, I could make it 2. I could decide what questions actually roll up into a person's bio. So now when I click on their face anywhere in the platform, I can see the answers to these first 2 questions, which tend to be really, really helpful. So I would make sure to set these up. You can customize it to your community. We have some communities where it's like we had one that was like a writing fellowship, and so they would ask, what is your favorite book? Or what is a book that you read recently that you really liked? So they'd ask that as you come on. We had like a workout community where as soon as you would come on, they'd ask like, what's your favorite like post-workout meal? So just fun things like that to start generating and creating some conversations as people are coming into the community. You can customize the actual channel people come into. So you can turn off automatic intros if you need to, but you can even change the channel. So sometimes people rename this to like welcome wagon or just like intros. So however you want the feel of your community to be, like you can pick and choose what, channel name you want to use here. My last 2 things, which are actually my favorite, is you can actually set up a video of where your community goes to as soon as they jump into, as soon as they're onboarding to Heartbeat, they'll actually be able to see a full video that you can record. So if I can grab a Loom video, I can do Vimeo, I can do YouTube, whatever works best for me. So I'll drop in Loom over here because that's my favorite. And then the last thing is you can set up a code of conduct. So I can turn this on. It'll grab an article from my knowledge base, and it'll force people to read and check that. And if I want to actually preview what this looks like, all I have to do is hit this preview button. It'll pop it open in a new tab. And so right now, this is using my old theme colors because I haven't actually updated. I'm just previewing the theme. I can see what it's like to upload a picture, hit next, type in my first name, type in my last name, and then keep going until I get to the end, and I can actually see that Loom video over here. So I'll be forced to view the code of conduct, hit accept, and then at the very end it'll actually pull up and display that Loom video that I wanted to see. So all of this to really create a personalized, thoughtful experience as people are coming into your community. Thanks so much for watching, and let us know if you have any other questions.